Alright, so this is the second part of the Mr. G session, and we're talking about his memory. Basically, reminding from the last time he can look at his photos and sort of like not recognize himself in the photos, or watch movies and forget him in about an hour, not remember what happened and stuff. So basically, just like looking for what's causing it and doing our work there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. You remember his photo that he sent us a photo?
Yeah.
So, okay. So tuning into you, Mr. G, let's just talk broad spectrum, things that can cause this kind of memory loss. One is physical brain damage, and we can't do anything about that, and we don't heal stuff like that. But we can look at the other kind of phenomena. The entity phenomena is very well known for blocking memories or putting in false memories.
Yeah.
And there's also traumatic incidents that have happened in this life or an earlier life that cause, it's an automatic memory block. We go unconscious in a past life, and then weird stuff happens. And then in this life, those incidents get triggered, so we get the same kind of memory loss that we had then. Another phenomena is something painful happens, emotionally painful, I'd say, not physically, but emotionally painful in this life, and it's very, very bad, and then we will we don't want to remember it. Okay, so then we're able. It's still subconscious, but that's okay because we don't want to remember that terrible stuff. So that is a phenomenon. Another one is the more like the MK Ultra hardcore splitting the personality or splitting the being, so that they have different personality traits, and so they're in one personality and they don't remember what they do in the other personality. We know that this isn't your issue, Mr. G. We're just going over generally the sort of phenomena that can cause this kind of memory loss that we know of. And so we can look into any connections on an entity level, any etheric or astral implants, or then there's abduction scenarios where people get abducted either from the physically abducted and put on a spacecraft and messed with, or astrally abducted. Their astral body self gets abducted and put on a spacecraft in the astral realms. And then they are given post-hypnotic suggestions, sort of implants or implanted commands to forget or not remember. So these are just some of the kinds of things that can cause severe memory loss. Do you have any thoughts you want to talk about a little bit before we look into it?
What stands out to me, it's like that, like incarnation and getting here on Earth. Like sometimes we make agreements on different things, and I'm looking at that like like everything on Earth is upside down and backwards. Like at the beginning of our life, when we're just like newborn babies, we seem to have all the abilities to get out of the body, to like have the massive energy and stuff, and like the kids have more energy than the pro athletes, and they're like at the same level or higher and stuff. And then the older we get, the more wisdom we have of how to use all of those abilities, but we lose the abilities themselves. And like I'm looking like if Mr. G has one of those where he might have had like lots of knowledge and just not be aware of it, and now like as he ages and stuff, like it's just like an agreement to like forget everything, because now that you know more, you're becoming more dangerous for some beings, and they don't want you to know more. So they're like basically like wiping the memory of their different things, and just like thought it came to me.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's something we could look into. You can just do a deep dive
Yeah, like
on
just
that.
like look at the mechanisms taking away the memories and stuff, because like you should be able to have it all now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So that's something I can focus on.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, start. Mm-hmm. That.
Right now I'm exploring the whole thing of the incarnation and getting here on Earth. Basically looking like, we could say, like that tunnel of coming in, like, you know, like some people go into the light and end up here on Earth or whatever. Like, there's some sort of force in there. And as I'm going in there, I'm getting this eye ache, like my eyeballs are hurting and burning. And I'm like, that's weird. So I'm gonna look into like why is it happening and does it have anything to do with Mr. G's case?
Okay.
I'm looking at, there's like some sort of helmet like where it puts on your head, and then there's these two tubes that connect to your eyes. It's like literally connecting like little thing onto your eyeball, like adding in and stuff.
Yeah. Then what fucking happened?
It seems like it can generate like different realities. Like it can just run a lifetime, and you're gonna see it like a movie as if you lived it.
Wow.
And like one after another, like really fast, like super fast, and you're just like you're trying to block it all out because you know it's fake and it's not true, and like it's just like a little program adding in, like, you know, like you live that, and like there's like millions of these, and like how do you make out of what you actually experienced and did not? Because this you're just
millions of these episodes or memory episodes of this is a lifetime, or this is an incident in your life, this is an incident in your life, like that.
It's not just incident, like it's living a whole lifetime.
Wow, but each one goes by real fast.
Yes, it's like blinking super fast, and each of those blinks are like, you know, like the whole lifetime from the birth to death.
Wow.
And like on the journey here to Earth, like really.
Wow, you know, that's the first time I've ever heard about a real detailed look at how they would implant people in this way. And I'm sure there's different technologies and different ways they do it, but this is very interesting because I've heard about people being shown fake lifetimes so that they would buy into the agreement that, yeah, I have to go back to Earth because I did this bad thing. I remember it now, but they're just implanting these fake lifetimes and fake memories into our space, so we will agree that we were bad, and if we go back just one more time to Earth, for example, they got our agreement, and now we're back, and now they can just do whatever they want all over again.
Yeah.
I'm not saying specifically this is what happened to Mr. G, but I'm just saying what the details of what you're looking at is very interesting.
Another thing I'm seeing, like or like sensing, it's more like that, like sort of like a helmet with those things like turn into the eyes. It seems like there's some wiring that is like getting into the skull area, like little wires, like organic or whatever, and it's like all throughout the skull and brain and stuff. Because of that ache I have, like the burning eyeballs, it moved into like it's like my forehead. It's really hurting, and I'm like, that's weird. But like the like pain is moving, and like it seems like there's that wiring where the consciousness fights it, like, you know, like this is not my experience. This is just like visuals and stuff, and you're trying to trigger me, and it's like beaming, like the consciousness is like zapping, and it's like kind of like trying to like zap you and like stop you and make you unconscious, make you fall asleep, and like all of a sudden you're like it's like happening really fast, and like as I'm talking, like the pain moves away and like sort of like starts going up. So like I'm thinking I'm onto something.
Yeah, I do too. You can tell by the needle how much it's moving around that you're onto something. Okay, continue.
Okay. Another thing is, it's like, it seems like the consciousness is fighting and trying to move away, like look at something else, or just like get out of that body, and that thing is like zap thing, but it's also like this magnetic force just keeps you connected. So your like, let's say conscious body is like trying to move, and this is like your physical body is right here, or like let's say, like, you know, like you're about to get in there, like so one of your bodies is here, and second body that, like, you know, like can't truly get out, and just like free consciousness is now hanging by the head. You're connected by the head and you cannot get out, and like all this like sort of like keeps like beaming you and all this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask you about is this happening? This machinery is happening in somewhere in the astral or the between lives area, and this machine is hooked up to the, I guess you'd call it the astral body.
Yeah, like it seems to be like more like between lives because like it's in right in before coming here to Earth. So like there's that like let's say like tunnel place where like this whole thing happens.
Yeah, and then there's again that fuzzy weird area where the astral body actually moves into the new baby body, for example.
Yeah, and what reminds me like like looking at that mechanism, I'm not sure if you've seen those things, but like like you have a massive big magnet and you go over little like screws and nails like little ones and they're just hanging one after another. So it's like like it's as if like that mechanism is like a magnet holding you onto it and you just can't escape, like you're like zapped onto it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just gonna go look deeper.
Yeah. Continue. That.
It seems like there's this programming where the more you try to escape and the more you force like to push against it, it's like tearing you apart from inside. Like for all your memories, like you're peeling it all off, but all the good stuff is being peeled off while you're fully stuck to the bad stuff. Kind of like.
Well,
I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, that's okay. It kind of does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Continue.
Yes, I feel like the whole mechanism over there is like fighting for the consciousness, because it's as if like the consciousness like identifies with that body it's getting and stuff, and like sort of like right now it cannot escape, but like the more it's being attached to, and the more fast like I need to get out of here, I need to be free, I need to like stay away from this place, the more it's like being sort of like forced to stay, and the consciousness somehow fails to escape the trap and now gives up. And all of a sudden, it's like that like little screw on the magnet, like like hanging around and doing nothing and stuff.
Yeah.
So like from finding back, like it gets to like it's okay. It's like like just gives up and like just goes with the flow. But only dead fish go with the flow,
Only what?
Only dead fish go with the flow.
Fish. Only that.
Dead fish.
Dead fish.
Yeah.
Only the dead fish goes with the flow. Yeah.
So
yeah. And this is still all within the astral form,
Yeah.
right? He's in his astral body. Maybe the one he dropped dead after that life or moved around, and is his astral life form. But anyway, he's caught in this between lives area place, and he's got this implant thing going, eyeballs and brain, our head, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this is all happening as he's like going through that tunnel, so to speak, to the physical body.
Yeah.
Okay. That.
Yeah, it seems like I'm getting a better view of it. So like, seems with every blink of the lifetime, like every blink that you get is sort of like overlaying the real stuff. So like it counts how many lifetimes have you lived before that, like where have you gone and stuff. And the looking where you have been a big being, where you did something important, is just like overlaying with the fake lives where you're not as important, where you didn't do that sort of stuff. And all the like memories that you have from your like past lives is being like, or like has an overlay, like you have a photo and you have another photo on that, another photo on that, like it's just the whole line, like one after another, and like all of a sudden you just wake up, no memories, cause it's all blank, like you don't remember your real stuff, and you don't want to remember or look at that other stuff that you just got shown.
Yeah, the fake stuff is like lame, and so you could be a really great being, maybe you're not too long ago, but it's all been overlaid with one more loser lifetime or something like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's false, fake memories.
And pretty much like wherever you learn either certain techniques or technologies, or you have like really good profound experiences in a lifetime, wherever you are, whether you are another human being or reptilian or like Arcturian or some other race, like all the stuff is being taken away from you. Like like you just like you forget your greatness or who you really are or what you really did. And you just have like to do, like little farmer did like nothing.
Wow.
And I was saying like, I don't remember shit. You know.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I'll look for more and see what I can do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That.
Okay, like so before fixing, I'll say a few more things and go into that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know those like I don't know like notebooks? They're relatively small, like a hand size, but there's like lots of pages, and you actually like can draw on one page and then another and the third page, and like draw the whole book, and then like as you like turn one page at a time,
Yeah.
you can actually see the pictures and stuff.
Yeah, like a little animation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So like imagine that kind of mechanism, and you have a lifetime, but you're gonna have like just quadrillions of these like going super fast, like
Wow.
you know, like you're just like overlaying absolutely everything, and as you're rejecting
Fake lifetimes or the
yes,
real, the fake ones?
like
Jeez.
those are like those pages or like those like lifetimes they're showing you is overlaying the real stuff, and like you're resisting that, so all of a sudden you don't want to remember that shit, like you're like consciousness is fighting like it's not me, I did not live that, and basically consciousness denies everything on its own. You don't want to remember your real lifetimes, and
Yeah.
like knowing it like it's overlaid, you don't want to look at it. So like the conscious decides like you just block it all out, but you block it all out, even the real stuff.
Yeah. Now, is it, you saying consciousness knows there's real lifetimes, but they don't want to recall those either, because if they recall those, they recall the overlays, or they see the overlays and think those are the real lifetimes, but they're just all fucked up and they don't want to recall that.
Consciousness knows it is being overlaid, and it's trying to fight back, like escape and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
being zapped, and like different stuff is happening, like where consciousness is
Mhm.
tortured to the point where like consciousness just says, I don't want to remember any of it, including
Okay.
in both.
So
you know.
gets the agreement finally of the being to not remember their original, real, fucking past lives.
Yeah.
Fucking sneaky, insidious, clever,
Yeah.
brilliant. Really, you want to admire the enemy. Anyway, wow.
Yeah.
So this is what you're seeing that's going on with Mr. G.
Yeah.
In his before he reincarnated, Mr. G.
And I feel like it's active in the present, where whatever you're experiencing is basically also being overlaid in some sort of way, and you just don't want to remember any of it. You know,
Yeah.
it's
So
just
whatever the program is, it's still ongoing
yeah.
with him. Okay.
So looking at that, like I can go start undoing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
revoking agreements, just going through everything, basically like change everything.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
As I'm moving into revoking everything, sort of like undoing, where instead of him being caught and forced into incarnation and stuff, I'm like creating like willingly consciously shifting from wherever he was into the body without any kind of process or anything, so like safety. But as I'm seeing, like, you know, like with all those overlays and stuff, it seems like in the middle, this is where they shove in the agreements, and basically they scan all that you did in the lifetime, in the original
They
lifetime.
scan what?
They scan everything that you did in the original lifetime, like, you know, like all your actions, all the conversations, like all this stuff, and they scan like all the good sides, like all your strengths, and you know, like whatever you're capable of. You know, like if you're all about remembering stuff, or like being a traveler, being like very, you know, powerful, really fast and whatever, they're gonna swip and like into I'm a weak being, and I don't want to remember anything, and like they're just like slipping all of the agreements related to all the good sides that you have, like all of your strengths, and they're like, you know, like trying to just like smash all of your strengths, so that at the end result is like, you know, you don't have any of who you were for real.
So it's kind of like a subconscious or subliminal hypnotic suggestion I'm weak, I don't remember anything, and they're just kind of laying in those, and you're agreeing to them.
Yeah, yeah. So like that's what like how the
Yeah.
mechanism works at least, or how I'm
Uh-huh.
seeing it, and now I'm like undoing everything.
Okay, good.
Another thing, like as I'm like getting rid of the whole mechanism, it's like I'm seeing like at the end result, like like where you have the sort of like helmet with everything being connected in you, and like all those wires going in you. Like the moment they release like you from like the whole like helmet, let's say, they just like digitize these things from the eyes and like sort of release the helmet, but the wires that went in, uh, they stay. But what happens is like it's as if like they explode into tons of little bit of pieces. It's like energetic implant, and they like go all over throughout the whole body. Like like where you share your chakras points or meridians, or just like like people are doing acupuncture, like tons of different places, and now it's like a natural thing in the body that stays with you all the time, like always monitoring you and reminding you of those stuff and like zapping you if anything happens. So like it's like like an insider or whatever. So like I'm just getting rid of that too.
Okay. Good. That. What was that?
I'm looking at like who Mr. G was in his past lives. Basically, like sort of like as I'm revoking all the stuff, I'm trying to like connect to his greatness and who he was originally, and just connect him back to those parts to make sure like he has that connection to experiences and stuff.
Okay, continue. That. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like it's kind of hard to explain, but maybe not. Imagine like in between life area. It's not a purgatory, but more like just let's say an entrance where people are just going through the door, like, and they leave their handprint, like like how do they say?
Biometric handprint.
Let's say like like there's this little corridor, very small, like like a door, little corridor with a like let's say a little stand with biometric handprint thing, and then a like door, but like no opening. It's just like like you're just like going through it, and people are just going through. Boom, they leave and just go. There's no trapping or anything, but it's more like a scanner of one's lifetime. Like they can like have whatever kind of life they had, whereas they can like from our perspective good or bad, but more like people are just like assuming roles that they want to play, and they do that experience and they get done, and then they leave their handprint, and it's basically their handprint is like all the history of their experience from the birth till death point of the body,
Mm-hmm.
and that collector of information is basically Mr. G. Like he was the one like a massive storage space of everyone's lifetimes. So he would know all the beings.
Massive memory.
Yeah. And that is the thing, like like where he accesses everyone's memories, and like he just like knowing everyone in there, and just like like connecting to beings, basically mapping out like who's doing what and stuff. And like like
Yeah.
I know like it's kind of like
Is it that he liked doing that, or is he forced to do that? Captured, made to do that, or is he?
He likes doing that. It's his thing. It's more like like hey, I just want to learn more about people, and like like it's more like with other people like agreement, like like hey, I don't mind sharing my stuff, and it's like like it's not too private, but they're like it's like only Mr. G would know their stuff, but he's like a sort of who's gonna keep the history of everyone who wants to.
Okay.
So
Like almost like a history of a planet or something.
Pretty much, yeah. And there's like lots of different beings, like not just one planet, but like.
So he's doing this in the astral realms or somewhere in the higher dimensions before he got to Earth?
Let's say like in between life area where people are done with their experience and they're gonna move on to some other place, and he is like a safe place where people don't have to worry about the light or archons or anything else. It's just like like, hey, I'll make sure that you go wherever you want to go safely. Like this is the entrance points where like they dead and they'll end up in that corridor.
Yeah.
They're gonna leave their history and they're just gonna go wherever their next goal is.
Okay.
No worries about, oh my god, like it's a safe place. Like you just like think and you go.
I got it. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Now what?
Yeah, really. Okay, so getting caught, or how did it happen that he went from doing that, what he liked to do, to ending up getting this helmet thing on his head and implanted and put down into Earth? What was can you scan that? Did he get caught? Did he agree to it? Did they get lied to? What sort of things happened that would cause them to end up getting in that condition and then in the body here?
Yeah, I can check it out.
Okay. That.
Okay, so I guess like the best way to describe it is like that being who he was, like as in like being able to access other people's memories and and it's like a construct, like being a living construct where you create a safe place for people to go from one place to another in between lives, but at the same time you're gonna collect their history if they're okay with it, because you can just like allow beings to cross it like pathway without them recording anything. As seems like like let's say one of those like archangel angelic beings or like one of those godlike stuff. It's like that kind of family, closer to Zeus, where they just like massive energy being like destroying the whole like architecture or like like the
structure.
Yes, the whole structure of like Mr. G's. And so like they're like as if like getting out the consciousness of it all and putting it in a bag. Let's say like the body is a bag, like just like. And they like are forcing that beingness, the consciousness, like to get into that body and like being shifted on Earth because like you just like know too much and you can do too much and you're just getting in the way. Like I'm like, hey, we're about to we need to trap people and you're just like messing it all up for us.
So they see his stuff and they blow his shit up and they grab him, stick him in a bag, and ship him off to the Earth implant stations.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much classic story part. The details are quite different than other people's, but
it's interesting though. It's not like reptilians. It's not the Anunnaki. It's not one of those races that we're so against. It's more the angelic beings. We need prisoners on Earth. Makes you wonder.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah. We don't know if Mr. G, if you have a religious background or, church going or anything like that. But this is what we found and what we see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that wraps up the session, huh?
Yeah. So as a recap, I'll just put it like this. Mr. G, we understand that your terrible memory issues. You can watch a movie and then right after the movie you really can't remember it. You can see a photograph of yourself and a family member and you look at it like, who is that guy? Kind of memory wipe stuff. So we've looked at the different ways and possibilities, and then we shared what we saw. And it looks, the story that we see, what Agvila sees, is that you are a very powerhouse being in neutral and in service to others and self, and just doing that thing you do to record history, like a historian, sort of like. You like doing that, and you're helping people travel from one realm to another, not having anything to do with Earth trap or Earth reincarnation so much. Is just out in the great multiverse. This is something you do, and then these beings saw you doing this, and they didn't like that. They didn't like what you were doing. It was against their agenda, or they get, hey, we can use this guy. Something like, hey, they blew your shit up. You were like being the whole construct and the place and doing this thing, and then they just took you and brought you here to Earth, put this machinery over your astral body with the thing going into the eyes, flashing your memories, flashing fake memories over your real memories because you had an excellent memory, and just and until it's so overwhelming that you finally decide, okay, I don't want to remember my own shit. And that's where they get you. That's where they get us. We agree to this stuff. So that's what happened?
Yeah.
Were you able to, or can you do the revocation on those agreements?
I did.
Oh, yeah, okay. So Agvila did the revocation on that stuff. Highly recommend, if you haven't done it already, learn how to do soul contract revocations and work this angle yourself, because there'll be other agreements you've made that have to do with memory and memory loss and all that too. But yeah.
Another thing, like, I guess as a recommendation, it's like one thing these beings are trying to do is like control our perception of reality, because they cannot mess with us too much. They can only create the perception, and the phrases you might repeat, like, oh, my memory's getting really bad, I can't remember stuff, blah blah blah. This is that perception that they want you to manifest. So it's basically, even though you have those thoughts, basically think about something positive and put it in a good place. Like, hey, my memory's getting better. I have a great memory. I can remember stuff, and you're the one manifesting the reality. So basically, putting their work into like nothingness, just like creating your own reality with that.
Yeah. Okay. Good tips. Okay. Thank you, Mr. G, for contacting us, and we will get this session to you soon. Okay. All right. Bye now.